You pick up your phone without thinking again. You were not bored a second ago. So why did your hand move first before your mind? It happens in small moments you barely notice. Waiting for an elevator that is already coming. Standing in line for something you do not even want. Sitting with friends. But the silence feels heavier now. So you reach for your phone like it is automatic. You tell yourself it is just a quick check. Just one glance at notifications, but it never really stays that short. And somehow, everyone else is doing the same thing. Even in rooms full of people, heads tilt downward together, eyes glow faintly in dim light, and conversations pause for no clear reason. It feels normal now, almost expected. But something about it feels different. You wake up and check your phone before your thoughts settle. Messages, updates, small bursts of information flood in instantly. Before your day even begins, your attention is already elsewhere. At night, you tell yourself you will sleep early. But you keep scrolling anyway. One more video, one more post, one more refresh. Time slips without warning. Hours disappear into something that feels like nothing. You close your phone and feel strangely tired. Not physically tired, something else. And this is where things get interesting. Even conversations have changed in subtle ways. Replies come slower than before. People read messages but wait to answer. Sometimes for minutes, sometimes for hours, sometimes not at all. You see the typing bubble appear, then vanish. You wonder what they were about to say. You wonder why they stopped. And you check again later, just in case. But that is not the strange part. The strange part is how familiar this all feels. Like everyone silently agreed to this new rhythm. A rhythm where attention is always slightly divided. Where presence feels partial. Where something is always pulling you away. At first it seems random. Just habits. Just convenience, just modern life. But there is actually a pattern here, and it shows up everywhere. People walking while staring at screens, couples sitting together, both scrolling separately, friends sharing moments that feel slightly delayed. Even laughter feels interrupted sometimes, like it has to compete for attention. And this pattern is not accidental. It repeats in ways that feel almost designed. But something else is happening beneath it. Think about how often you check your phone without a reason. Not because something happened, but because something might have happened. A message, a like, a notification you do not want to miss. That tiny possibility pulls you back again and again. And this is where things start to connect. It is not just about boredom anymore. It is not just about distraction. It is about anticipation. A constant low-level expectation that something is waiting for you, even when nothing actually is. And that feeling does not really go away. It stays in the background, quiet, but persistent. But that is not the full picture, because this pattern grows larger than individual habits. It starts shaping how we interact with each other, how we respond, how we wait, how we feel about being ignored. A delayed reply now means something different than it used to. Silence feels louder. Waiting feels heavier. You start to interpret small things more deeply. Why did they not respond yet? Did they see it? Are they ignoring me? These questions were not always this common. But now they are part of everyday thinking. And this is where things expand. From small behaviors into social patterns. From personal habits into shared expectations. Because now, everyone is reachable at any moment. And that changes everything. It creates a strange pressure. A pressure to respond. A pressure to be available. A pressure to stay connected, even when you do not want to. And yet, People respond slower than ever, which makes the silence even more confusing. But something about it feels different. It is like everyone is both connected and distant at the same time, always there, but never fully present. And this contradiction keeps growing. It shapes how we spend time together, how we experience boredom, how we experience each other. Even moments of rest feel less restful now, because there is always something to check, something to scroll, something to fill the space. And this is where things escalate. This is no longer just about phones. It is about how attention itself has changed. Your attention is no longer just yours. It is constantly being pulled, redirected, fragmented. Small pieces taken throughout the day. Not enough to notice individually, but enough to change how you feel overall. You feel busy, even when you did not do much. You feel tired, even without physical effort. You feel distracted, even in quiet moments. And this is where the deeper layer appears. Because all of this is not happening randomly. It is part of a system built around attention, a system that quietly shapes behavior, a system you interact with every single day, but rarely think about directly. And this is where things become clear. Your phone is not just a tool anymore. It is a gateway into something much larger. Every app is designed to hold your attention, to keep you engaged just a little longer, to make you come back again, not through force, but through subtle cues. Notifications that appear at just the right moment, content that feels almost perfectly timed, endless scrolling that removes natural stopping points. You never reach an end, so you never really stop. And this is where things get interesting. Because the system learns from you. It adapts. It observes what you pause on, what you like, what you watch longer than expected, and it adjusts accordingly, until your feed feels almost personal, almost intuitive, like it understands you. But what it really understands is your attention, and how to keep it. This is the attention economy, a space where your focus is the most valuable resource. Not your time alone, but your engagement, your reactions, your curiosity, your impulses. Every scroll becomes a small decision. Every tap becomes a signal. And over time, those signals shape what you see, which then shapes what you think about, which then shapes what you feel. And this loop continues quietly. But something else is happening inside it, because constant stimulation changes your baseline. Moments without input start to feel uncomfortable. Silence feels heavier than it used to. Waiting feels longer than it actually is, and boredom becomes something to avoid immediately. So you reach for your phone again, not because you need it, but because the absence of it feels strange. And this is where the cycle completes itself. The system keeps you engaged, and you keep returning, not consciously, but habitually. And this is where it becomes personal again. Think about the last time you sat in silence. No music, no screen, no distractions, just your thoughts. It probably felt unfamiliar, maybe even uncomfortable. Not because something was wrong, but because something was missing. And that absence now feels unusual, because you are used to constant input, constant connection, constant engagement. But that connection is not always what it seems. You can be surrounded by updates and still feel disconnected. You can be talking to people and still feel distant. You can be scrolling through endless content and still feel empty. And this is where things become harder to notice, because nothing feels obviously broken. Everything still works, everything still functions, but something feels slightly off. Like a background noise you cannot fully hear, but you know it is there. And this is where reflection begins. Not in big dramatic moments, but in small realizations. Like noticing how often you check your phone without thinking, or realizing how quickly you reach for it in quiet moments, or noticing how conversations pause more often than before. These are subtle shifts, but they add up. They shape how you experience your day, how you experience other people, how you experience yourself. And this is where the question changes. It is no longer just why people are on their phones. It becomes something deeper. What is happening to attention itself? What is happening to presence? What is happening to the space between moments? And this is where things slow down. Because the answer is not simple. It is not just technology. It is not just habit. It is a combination of both. A system that shapes behavior, and behavior that reinforces the system. And somewhere inside that loop, you are just trying to feel connected, to feel engaged, to feel something, even if it is small, even if it is brief. And this is where the quiet realization begins. Maybe it is not just about being on your phone. Maybe it is about what happens when you are not, because those moments are becoming rare. And when they do appear, they feel unfamiliar, almost like something is missing. But maybe nothing is missing. Maybe something is just different now. The world did not slow down, but your attention changed. And now, it is always being asked for, always being pulled, always being redirected. So you reach for your phone again, without thinking, just like at the beginning. And this time, you notice it.